All right, Kofsky's Mortgages and Hoagies, episode 9. I have a very, very special guest with me today. He is the Director of Sales and Success at Jungo. He is also all 5 of the greatest rappers of all time, Dillon, and Dillon, because he spits hot fire, Dillon O'Mara. Welcome to Kofsky's Mortgages and Hoagies.
That's right. What an intro. Appreciate that, man. Happy to be here.
I couldn't do anything underwhelming. So to start off, we were talking about a little pre-show. We got a little sound hammers in the background. What's going on next door over there in San Diego?
The block we're on here in Bankers Hill, which is just next to Balboa Park, they're just putting high rise after high rise up. And so, yeah, we've been dealing with that a lot. But
so booming. Good for businesses.
Good for business. Yeah, people are going to need some mortgages for some condos soon.
Hey, I'm, we operate in California. I might have to get my personal license for out there because we as a company are already out there. So might be something we need to add to the repertoire here as we get closer to 2027.
Absolutely. Let's make it happen.
All right. So obviously, as you know, you've seen part of the shows. We go professional journey first and foremost, and then we'll get into some other stuff. So I'm going to take you all the way back to your very first job. We could do first job in the biz, as they say, in the restaurant business. How did you first get your start in there? And then we're going to bring you all through that journey.
Yeah, 14, started as a busboy at Giuseppe's because my sister was a server there. So she got me a gig there. I actually, in one of the other podcasts, I saw Giuseppe's got a shout out for pizza.
Yeah, that's true. Okay, so he's actually watching. He's not just faking it. He's actually watching the podcast.
I think it was our buddy Nick the Greek. So yeah, started there, worked my way, busboy, server, bartender, worked at a variety of restaurants throughout. Like when I would come home for the summers in college, and then after college, Churchville in with you. Don't tell Andy I have that glass. He'll probably send me a bill.
You're the reason he put that stuff on the glasses.
That's true.
He put "Thou shalt not steal" right on the glasses because of Dillon O'Mara. So how did you make? So all right. So let's take this a step back. So you left Giuseppe's from when you worked at during your middle school to high school years. Then you went to Penn State Altoona. What did you study at Penn State?
Communications.
Communications. All right. So we had Jimmy Muzz on the show. He's communications at Temple University. Shout out to you. And then, tell us a little bit about your college journey and what took you from Altoona to main campus and kind of contributed to your professional life now. I know it maybe didn't contribute at first when you left school, but, reach into your bag back in college and what attributed to some of the success you're seeing now?
Yeah, well, it's funny. When I first started at college, I started out as I wanted to be an engineering major. I've always been very into cars, motorcycles, and so in high school I started taking German classes because I figured, if I'm going to be a mechanical engineer, knowing German would probably help me get a gig with Porsche, Audi, BMW.
Yeah, of course.
Started at college and realized that I could either be an engineering major or have fun. Some people are able to do both, and more power to them. But I was never the best student in high school either. And I realized that if I was going to get good enough grades and stay on top of things as an engineering major, it wasn't going to be worth. I wanted a true college experience. So I ended up switching, I think, to business at first, or maybe just non-declared, whatever it was. And then you take all the prerequisites and start taking different classes to find what interests you. And it was business and communication related classes that I ended up really taking a liking to and being kind of naturally having a knack for.
Right.
And shout out to Penn State, both Altoona and main campus, a lot of really great professors that made me interested in the course load. So, could I have finished in 4 years? Probably. Did I do that super senior year? Get that a little extra party? I sure did. So So
let's talk about that super senior year, because especially during that time, if you were a super senior, that would have been around 2011. So where we were economically then and what the options were coming out of school and what was available to you then, what was kind of that experience like coming from Penn State, Maine into the real world? And then how did that take you into the restaurant business?
That's a journey in itself. Yeah, when I finished school, I mean, communications major, it's such a broad, it covers it's such a big umbrella. And I just started applying for, still didn't know exactly what I wanted to do.
Right.
I know I wanted to work with people and I needed a job that I was really interested in. And, I have to have fun while I'm working. I know they pay us because it's not fun, but like, I still like to enjoy myself. Um, and I sent out a lot of resumes. I did some interviews. I got some offers too, but wasn't necessarily for things that I wanted. And coming right out of college, I had what I thought was a disadvantage at the time. Now, as an adult, I look back a huge advantage of being able to move back in with my parents for a little bit and, save some money and all that. And a couple months after finishing up with school, the restaurant slash bar down the street that had recently burnt down, the Churchville Inn was going to be reopening. And I was like, man, that's perfect. Why don't I get a job there, get a gig there, while I can make some money while I'm looking for a job in the career field. So, yeah, got that job. Also, it's exciting opening a brand new restaurant. There's just something really fun about that. You and the staff become pretty tight pretty quickly. And I mean, it was about a 90-second commute, so couldn't beat that.
Yeah, and also around that time, although you had offers, the ceiling was, or the floor and the ceiling were probably not where you wanted them to be as far as income is concerned. And at that time, I know a lot of people are making the decision to go into that hospitality industry, whether it be restaurants or other areas, because there was just an opportunity to make a lot more money at the time. Was that a big factor?
It was. I mean, money in the pocket when you leave every single night. And yeah, the social aspect was big for me too. But yeah, I think, like you said, the floor was low. The ceiling could be high, but with my experience and not having any specialties outside of just,
Right.
I'm personable. I've got a good amount of marketing courses under my belt. And I didn't have a specialty like a lot of my peers did, especially people that went into accounting and economics or things of that nature. So, for me, it was, the umbrella was almost too big where it sort of left me with too many options, none of which checked every box. And I'm not saying hopping into serving and bartending checked all the boxes, but
Right.
it scratched the itch that I had of working with people and making great money for a 22-year-old.
Yeah, and then you spent a while there at the Churchville Inn, which really was your journey from college kid through becoming, a man, right? You spent some of those really formidable years there. What are some of the things that you look back at the Churchville Inn that attribute to some of your success now at Jungo?
It's a great question. I mean, the customer's always right. No, no, I mean, I think having to learn to, and this goes back to childhood, not just the job at the Churchville, but learn, working with people that are difficult, and having to navigate that. It was a big one. Being under good leadership, I think Andrew Wallace, fantastic boss. Seeing how he was able to manage people and taking a lot of cues from that in order to, at one point here at Jungo, I was managing just under, I think it was like 33 or 34 people, which is a lot. Like you don't see that at a lot of corporate companies. You pretty much only see that at restaurants and a few other industries. So,
Right.
I give Andrew a lot of credit for that.
Yeah, I think the thing about Andrew is that when I was like a server and then maybe, doing one or two shifts as a bartender, there were a lot of things that used to piss me off about him that he wasn't open to doing. And then as time went on, which even goes beyond when you left, which we're going to get into here shortly, there were things that people would come up to me with ideas and be like, Adam, can we do this? Can we do that? And like me and Nick would talk to each other and be like, it's not going to push the needle, right? It's going to cause us more headaches. It's going to give us more to do. It's going to put more on our plate. And then what are we actually going to gain from it in the grand scheme of things? And it actually really changed my image of some of the exchanges with Andrew earlier on in my Churchville experience.
Mhm.
Do you kind of see some of that as well?
Absolutely. Yeah. And it makes you take a 30,000 foot look at a lot of different things on, sure, is this going to impact day to day today? Probably not. Might it in 30 days, might it in a year? And you start looking at, you know, not just things more specifically, but almost like the opposite of that, where it's like there's probably going to be a butterfly effect of things that can happen from one small decision that end up benefiting or the opposite, the organization.
Yeah, absolutely. So as your journey continues at Churchville, um, when did I guess you start realizing that maybe it was time to move on beyond the restaurant industry?
That's tough to say. So when I decided to make a change, was three buddies and I did a cross country road trip in 2015. Um, and one of our second stop on that trip was in San Diego. I had a friend from college who lived out here, so we were visiting, staying with her for 2 nights, and then we went, kept going back east. It was a 2 week trip. I fell in love with San Diego, like no other place we visited along the rest of the way compared. And when we got back to Pennsylvania, I get back to working at the Churchville. I sensed I needed a change. It wasn't necessarily away from the restaurant industry. It was away from a lot more than that. And that just sort of planted a little bit of a seed. I was comfortable. I was happy bartending. It's still work that I miss every single day. If I could pick up a Saturday or Sunday day shift somewhere just to scratch that itch, I'd be open to it. But when I moved out to San Diego, that 3 years later, I still had it in my brain that, maybe the job I end up finding might be bartending at first while I'm looking for jobs to dust that, degree
Right.
off. So I was open to it. Didn't end up happening, and I'm very glad because, I ended up landing my job at Jungo. But yeah, I mean, realistically, I was getting up there, high 20s, 28, 29 at that point. Um, I was still living that 23, 24-year-old life, I would say. And,
Right.
working and then going spending half of what I just made at the bar, going to the
So,
casino, just
so
doing dumb shit.
yeah, so you're living that life there, but you're also making a great income, and you're also in a position at your job that is pretty solidified and very secure. It would have been very easy to stay. um, Take us through your mindset when you really understood that you had made that decision to take that leap, take that risk, move all the way across the country, without having anything set in stone. Like, it's pretty inspiring. Like, we're boys, and I was there throughout most of it. But for someone who doesn't know you, and so not everybody's like you and I, where you can just do that. I've done it, multiple times as well. And if you remember when you did it, I said the last thing I said to you before you moved was that I was jealous of you because I understood what you were about to experience for the first time, and you were going to get a fresh start, and you were going to get to be whatever Dylan O'Mara you wanted to be and the best version of yourself. So when you get to that point, when you make the decision to do it, what kind of advice, I guess, do you have for somebody who might be wrestling with the same thing?
Yeah, no, that's a great question. And I think, what's funny, part of it is like my upbringing was so comfortable. I have the most supportive parents and family. I got a great education. I grew up in a great area. Um, it was so comfortable. And I also just had I always had a net to fall back on. And that's a great thing.
Yep.
There's zero complaints about that whatsoever. I'm very blessed to have that.
Of
I
course.
felt the need to leave that safety net. I needed to go do something on my own, prove to myself that I could. And guess what? If I couldn't, I didn't burn any bridges. Could always drive the 3,000 miles back east to the Philly area. But I needed to just start something out on my own where, start essentially from zero and work, kind of build myself up. It's advice I would give just about anybody. Leave your hometown. might be for 6 months, might be for a year, might be for good. But the experiences, even just meeting people. And it's funny because living in San Diego, this is such a transplant city. Most of my friends are actually from like the Bay Area. Um,
Right.
but they have such a different way of life, different outlooks on life, things like that. Um, yeah, I think everybody, it should be just something that everybody does, leave hometown for a little bit of time, experience something new. It's going to open your mind to a lot of things. Yeah, I mean, the few friends that I do have here that are in San Diego, from San Diego, I'm like, man, you got to get out of here, especially from San Diego. I'm like, you're living in one of the greatest places in this country. Go find out what it's like elsewhere. Then come back. You'll be
Yeah.
much more grateful.
Yeah, exactly. I think that most importantly, a side note for those watching is that this is now 9 years ago, right? And Dillon still lives in San Diego. So home was not going anywhere. It still hasn't gone anywhere, but he has stayed out in San Diego. So let's shift the focus to that new life that you made for yourself in San Diego. You get there, you made a few connections through some friends of friends, people that know people, but you went out there without having a job lined up. Day one in San Diego. Bring us back to that.
Well, stop number one, California burrito. You have to do it. You got to get a burrito as soon as you get here. Um, and yeah, so on my 5 day drive out here, I was doing, 10-hour drive days. During that time when I would get to whatever Airbnb I was staying at, I would just hop on like Facebook, not Marketplace. I don't even think that existed yet, but Facebook, room for rent groups out here, and just do a post. Hey, I'm going to be there in X amount of days looking for an apartment. Here's my, my budget and things that I want. And I had one person reach out to me before I even got here saying, I need a roommate, actually, like the sooner the better. Send me pictures, are you good with dogs? I have two big dogs. I'm like, this is perfect. Yeah, let's do it. So I didn't have a place to live when I left PA, but I had a place I was going to by the time I got to California. But yeah, no job lined up. I figured, been in the restaurant industry long enough, I'll find something.
Right.
And then, once I got here, spent a couple days on the beach, as one does, and it was August 17th, 2018. So I'm actually in 3 days is my 8 year. So yeah,
Okay.
spent a couple days on the beach and doing some, just like touring the city, finding out the cool spots, cool neighborhoods, whatever. And then hop on, job listing sites, jobs.com and Indeed and all that stuff. And probably filled out, God knows, 150 to 200, applications, resumes, whatever. And
Yeah.
get a call from one. I don't even remember which one it was. I'm like, but they're like, hey, we want to bring you in for an interview. I'm like, cool. Couldn't tell you which job it was. All the companies' names had blended together at that point.
Right.
But yeah, I go down, get dressed up, got my resume, and show up. And I'm honestly I'm unprepared because I forget which one this is. But show up and it's this company called Jungo. And the two people interviewing me, one of which Emma, who is she's our director of billing and HR now. And then this other woman were interviewing me, and they weren't even asking me a lot of questions about software or the mortgage industry. It was definitely, they were looking for a certain kind of person.
Yeah.
And, one of them went to Comic-Con every year. She was a big like Marvel, nerd like me. So we got into that a little bit. And then it went well. Got home, was home for maybe 90 minutes. And then they got a call and they're like, hey, when can you start? And I was like, man, that's awesome. I'm so excited. The place had this great view of North Island, Coronado. So I was stoked. And I started out and I was like, I had to learn what a CRM was. I had to learn about the mortgage industry, things I knew nothing
Yep.
about.
And we're going to dive deeper into here as we go on. Sure.
Yeah. But yeah, started out, I was a customer service rep. Just having to learn the back end of Salesforce and, I never onboarded anybody. I trained people how to make certain drinks. That was the extent of my training experience.
Right.
But so I was learning the cool thing.
And there's
was,
an
though,
exact recipe to that. right? Like you can
Yes.
actually show people, you put this much of this, that much of that. This is what you're going to end up with. So now you're transferring into a completely different game where there isn't a simple math equation, right?
Every single person I was training was different, wanted something different, wanted different things out of their software, needed to be trained in a different way. Some people are visual, some people are hands-on, etc. Um, but Jungo had a pretty good formula for how to figure those things out and make sure that you were effectively training new customers, and that's what I was originally doing. And then, um, as you are in customer service for a longer time, what we do at Jungo is like tiers. So we have basic tier, tier one, tier two, based on your knowledge level. Started jumping up on those, and then as they say, I got a face for radio, so they started putting me on webinars and you know, um, training people in the masses and doing weekly webinars, things like that. Um, but then I got pretty high up. It was me and my buddy Joe were kind of the top two CSRs after about 2 years. Performance wise, we were crushing it. We were well liked by our clients. We were well liked by our coworkers. Um, and it's funny, actually, Joe, who I just spoke of, is now our director of development. He's our dev guy. So it's funny going back to then when Joe and I started, probably 3 months in, anybody at that company would have known Dillon would probably end up going a little bit more the sales route. Joe would probably end up going a little more the dev route.
Yep.
But yeah, then, I made it clear from the beginning I wanted to jump into sales. I'm like, listen, I know I don't have formal sales training or any like account executive type sales jobs, but I got a lot of experience in the restaurant world. If you'd look, I was good at upselling. Yeah. Is it different to sell $1,500 software than it is to upsell from house vodka to Tito's? Yes. But
Yeah.
I felt pretty comfortable asking for that and saying, listen, just put me in, let me show you what I can do. And after about 2 years, they actually created a new sales role for me that they hadn't had previously, which was essentially upselling our current clients, which just our account executives were doing prior. Now, I'm going to say right off the bat, I crushed it. But I will also say that was at February to March is when I started of 2020, when our interest rates dropped to historic lows.
Yes.
So
All right. So this is a good time for me to interject as well.
yeah,
So that's a time that becomes so busy and overloaded in the mortgage business where there is a bigger need than ever for organization, roadmaps to your business, keeping in contact, follow up, etc. So explain what it is Jungo does, what a CRM is, and what the benefit is to your clients.
absolutely. So CRM, customer relationship management, and the name couldn't be any more spot on than that. It's not some technical term. It is, you are managing your customer relationships. So there's many reasons for a CRM, but essentially you're plugging in your database, your leads, your past clients, your referral partners, all that good stuff, and you are making sure that you are touching base with them at all of the most opportune times, tracking all of your communications. So it doesn't matter if you forget a conversation, it's in your CRM. You're able to track all your referrals. Come end of the year, you might want to be rewarding some of the people who are passing you the most leads, etc. But not just that, the people that you are also in process with, working these actual mortgages with, they're getting constant updates from you based on where their mortgage is in the process that you don't have to do anything for. Your CRM does it for you, but the emails, the text, whatever form of communication looks like you took 5 minutes out of your day to type them up, something nice and detailed. They have no idea. It's great.
Yeah, and this is customizable, right? So, for instance, for me, when I get a referral, let's say from a realtor, I enter the lead's name, phone number, email, any notes that were passed along to me, right? So then Jungo, based off my workflow, will then task me to call these people or email them on certain days. So I'll get reminders that call them day 1, day 2, day 4, day 7, day 15, day 30. Make sure that they stay at the top of my mind and in my list of things to do, so that way I don't let it fall through the cracks, which is, that number one thing. And then I can also stay in touch with them based off of, once I get more information, what their birthday is. Did they make application? Are they pre-approved? Are they in processing? Are they approved by underwriting? Have they funded already? Is this the anniversary of their funding? Things like that that will help me really stay engaged with those clients, so that way I can give them the best experience possible, right?
Absolutely. And another thing too is it's not necessarily just them that want these updates. Their co-borrower, maybe their buying agent, and we can automate all of that.
The biggest thing that I have trouble with, and early in my career, I can't tell you how many people I ticked off, because usually there's one main point of contact that handles this, right? So I would send an email to like the borrower and whoever that is. It could have been the husband, it could have been the wife, it could have been the uncle, whatever. Um, whoever I was in contact with, I would send a lot of the information with, unless we're sending like a list of needs that obviously
Sure.
I need things from both people. If I had a quick update, I was expecting that if there was a married couple, that I would just email this person.
You
They
would
would go
think.
home, eat dinner, and they would talk about it. And then I wouldn't have to, and looking back, like, yeah, I should have just put them back on. But I've definitely got bitched out a couple times, and for not putting someone on, like, what, am I not as important, whatever it might be. So this definitely helps take out some of those mental errors or lapse in judgment, right?
Absolutely. Yeah. And the automation aspect of Jungo is one of the reasons why people love it so much. But another great thing, being built on the Salesforce platform, the integration, the level of integrations that you have access to is absolutely unreal. That's one of the best things about Jungo, that sets us apart from other mortgage CRMs, is anything can integrate with Salesforce. And because we are built on the Salesforce platform, it can integrate with Jungo. So, obviously, no matter what LOS you're using, chances are we can integrate different dialers. If you and your team are using certain dialers and you need those notes to be logged into your CRM, we can integrate with that. Any POS you're using, Blend, Flowify. People want an all-in-one, solution to bring all
Yeah.
of their tech stack together, and especially
And
now.
so to interject too, just for, we're using
Yeah,
a lot of abbreviations in
sure.
this business, and a lot of names of
Yeah.
other programs. So what Dylan is describing here, side note, is that Flowify is a application where you can fill out like your mortgage application, you can upload documents, and then the loan operating system are where we actually pull credit, upload docs, review your file, do the calculations we need during a process, underwrite the loan, etc. So those are things that obviously, as a customer resource tool, that they're going to want to integrate with, so that way they can stay on top of your lead and customer management. All right, sorry, just side note there. Go ahead.
No, that's good. I forget that I'm not on just speaking to the mortgage world here.
Right.
Uh, but yeah, and so I mean, and here's the cool thing: a CRM. Yeah, we are mortgage specific, but this could go for
Yeah.
any industry. Let's say
Right.
you're a mechanic. When I come in and I get my oil changed at your shop. You should then be going into your CRM, typing in my name, my car type, my miles, etc. And then automatically 5 months from now, your system could be sending me an email saying you are due for an oil change. Maybe here's 10% off. And now the chances of them coming back to you instead of going to a different shop just increased drastically. It's the same thing in the mortgage industry. If I've been thinking about doing a refi, and here I am getting an email from Adam Kofsky every birthday, every loan anniversary, and just sending me keeping in touch tips on, home ownership. Why would I go with anybody else? You're top of mind at all times.
Right. And there's a million statistics out there about the fact that the majority of people have a good experience with who they used, and then the huge minority of people use that person again, either because they forgot about them or they weren't top of mind. And that's really, the number one thing that your program does. So before you started working at Jungo, What did you know about the mortgage industry?
My buddy Kofsky was somehow related. I think his dad might have been too. Um,
Well, I think when you first started at the job, you were, we were talking about it. You're like, or maybe you said to a friend, or a friend maybe asked you about it. I think that's how the story was. And you were like, oh, this is easy. I just talked to Adam and Rob Kofsky all day. It's like they're all the same people in this business, right? That's kind of, I think, what your reaction was early on. So, I think what you're saying is you didn't know much, right?
did not know much. Yeah, soon after starting, I realized it is definitely a big personality type. And then I realized soon after that you've been a loan officer since I met you when you were 8. Um, you've got the personality for it. But yeah, no, I didn't really, I knew my parents were paying a mortgage. They would talk about it. Around what, 2011, I saw the movie The Big Short, talking about the mortgage, the bubble.
Yeah.
I did not have much knowledge about it. I didn't know that, realtors and loan originators worked so closely together with the referrals. I never would have thought about that.
Yeah. And to show you how much is, in common tongue, we say pay a mortgage, right? You even just said it. You're in this business, pay a mortgage. You can't even pay a mortgage,
No,
right?
no.
This is how, in just commonalities that things change in how we communicate, because the mortgage is actually what secures your home as collateral for the loan. It's
Yeah.
not your actual loan.
You're
But
paying
we
a loan.
refer to the word mortgage as if it is the loan. And that's just become so common to say. And even we say it in our business, even though it's not correct. We say, so when you pay your mortgage, and I say it all the time. And I always find it funny when I hear other people say it and I say it too, because you can't even do that, right? So just to kind of touch on how complicated and some of the terminology that we use as we go throughout this.
That I don't know why that just reminded me, but it was only maybe 4 or 5 years ago I found out that the word mortgage is Latin for, what is it, death contract?
Honestly, I don't even know, but that wouldn't surprise me.
Mortgage in Latin. I'm pretty sure it was
Yeah,
death
look that up.
contract. Death pledge. But when hey, listen, if you're 50 years old and you're getting a 30-year, you never know.
The thing is that, you're not legally able to discriminate against somebody based off of, a number of things, but age is one of them. And I remember I did a loan for someone who was in their 80s, and they laughed at me at the table. They were like, I can't believe you guys are willing to give me a 30-year mortgage.
Suckers.
Like, you think I'm going to be here at the end of this? They were laughing at me. Like, I didn't care. It wasn't my money, but it was just such a funny experience.
Love that. Love that.
So you get into Jungo. You start meeting a bunch of people that are similar to my dad and I, that obviously you grew up around and knew pretty well over the years. What took you by surprise? So what are some things that you learn? We're talking about how complicated the business can be. Give me an example of a couple things when you first got in the business where it kind of smacked you in the face, like, oh, I'm not making a recipe right now. I actually have a big problem to solve or a big need to address, where you kind of realized that your career had taken that next step.
I think, and this doesn't necessarily go for me personally. We are like we're a software company. We're not in the mortgage industry. But one thing about the people I was working with, any professionals in the mortgage industry, the level of 24/7 that profession is. And, I should have known that already with you, but just seeing, you're getting, especially when I'm in the car with you or whatever, getting calls at all hours of the day to help. And do you have to answer it?
Yeah.
No, but what do you love most about your job? I'm guessing here, it's helping people achieve their dreams.
Yes. And in this business, especially depending on the market, not taking a phone call could cost somebody a home. It could cost them their experience with you. Look, most times within reason, I'm going to answer if I'm awake, but go ahead. Sorry.
No, and that has helped me be better at my job. Honestly, being in the car with you, heading down to the Eagles game, and you're like, hold on one second, I got to call this client or whatever. It helped me understand, and then teach the people on my teams understand when somebody's calling in saying that they're, maybe they have something went wrong with an automation. They probably built it themselves, whatever. And an email's not firing and they're freaking out. And, I've heard people say like, well, come on, it's not the end of the world. And I'm like, well, you don't understand. To them, it is. And, we go over that. And now we're all on the same page, which is great. But like you said, like that could cost somebody the home that they want. It's the biggest purchase / investment they're going to make in their entire lives.
Yes.
And to see the level of commitment that people who originate these loans take in order to, make their customers happy is just outrageous and amazing. And
I think a lot of people don't see what we actually do on this side of things, as far as the level of detail and the amount of steps. Don't get me wrong, there are some easy transactions.
Sure.
But on a lot of transactions, there is a lot of effort that goes into it, and you need good systems like Jungo. What are some mistakes that you see loan officers repeatedly make? Because usually when you get introduced to somebody or you're having a meeting, they have a specific need. There's something that's lacking in their business and they're coming to you for help. So what do you see lacking? What mistakes do you see made?
Number one, not using their CRM. I tell people this all the time. I'm sure you've heard this a million times from different bosses trying to get you to, plug your leads into Salesforce or whatever. The best CRM is the one you use. I'm not going to say it's Jungo. It is the one you are going to use. The one you should use is Jungo because we are the best. But people that aren't using their CRM, it is a tool that is so powerful and can make your job and your life so much easier. And people just ignore it. And, they're plugging stuff into an Excel spreadsheet or not logging their calls and their conversations that they've been having. And that is, like you said it at the very beginning, that is how things fall through the cracks. I don't think this is necessarily a huge mistake, but it's a huge missed opportunity is not taking your CRM and customizing it exactly to your day-to-day and your workflow. Again, with Jungo being so highly customizable, anything that you want to do, you want to check one box and then make sure that an email's going out on day 2, you're reminded to call on day 4, a text goes out on day 6, whatever your workflow is, that a lot of people are probably tracking in an Excel spreadsheet or something along those lines. Let the system do it for you.
Yeah.
When I'm on sales calls and people ask, what do I want Jungo for? I'm like, it's probably going to give you half your day back. All the administrative stuff and follow-ups that you're doing right now could be done by the system. What you choose to do with that second half of that day, maybe you want to call more leads and make more money. Awesome. Do it. Maybe you want to play an extra 18 holes. Maybe you want to spend more time with your family. Either way, we're giving you the gift of time. Take advantage of it.
So speaking of giving time, that's obviously a big win for a loan officer. Do you have any examples recently of some big wins of when you're really able to help a loan officer or a branch or a company solve a big problem that they were experiencing, on that lead management level?
Yeah, I felt a little guilty about this one. Maybe 2 or 3 months ago, speaking to a client, he goes, man, he had signed up maybe 6 months prior. And he's like, this is fantastic. He's like, this does everything I needed it to do. I was able to let my assistant go.
Oh,
I was like, dude, don't tell me that. Don't tell me that.
But I mean, listen, it's a difficult thing, and it's kind of a punch to the gut. But let's also, as we're going through this, talk about how many people have left this industry because they could not afford to stay with where rates are. So even though it sucks that he might have had to let that person go, there's a chance that if you do that for certain loan officers, that you're saving their career, you're saving their business. If you can get somebody a system that's going to help save them 40, 50, 60 grand a year, that could be the difference of them closing down shop or not, right?
2 parts to that. One, yes, absolutely. Probably made that, changed everything about that company. And it was just a 1 or 2 person shop. But 2, we didn't get to the punchline of that. His assistant was his 15-year-old son. So it's okay. But he came to, that's how he was the guy who was able to fire my assistant. And I was like, I won't say his name, but I was like, dude. And he's like, it's okay. He's got like football practice after school anyway. I was like, all right. But
Yeah. So he straight punked you. So
yes.
speaking of saving time, um, giving loan officers their day back, their freedom back, the hot topic today, AI. How is it impacting your business? How is it helping your business impact loan officers' business? And we'll dive a little more into that.
It's the hot topic right now, man. Every mortgage conference I go to, every client that calls in, what do you got for AI? AI is amazing. AI is a great tool. It can do so much. I think we are seeing a little bit too much use of AI in the mortgage industry personally.
Yeah.
We've got some, there's some mortgage CRMs out there that will have a AI agent calling leads, and those things mess up big time. And
I'm actually working on a custom one right now with
are
somebody.
you?
And I can tell you that there are bugs and there is a method to it and it is a guess and check. And that we've decided, because of what you're saying, that we've limited it to specific leads that are in my database that are on the colder side for the
Mm-hmm.
test. So that way I'm not, I guess, pissing off, for a lack of a better way to put it, the leads or the customers that are important to me that I've done good business with in the past.
Exactly how it should be going. Because there's a use for it. If I am working directly with you on, a mortgage that I'm trying to get, I don't want a robot calling me. I want my boy calling me. And so, but yeah, if I, filled out a mortgage form 3 years ago and you're just calling to check in, we haven't talked and whatever, then yeah, great. I think the way AI is helping out loan officers the most now is a lot of like, goes back into like automation stuff. Let's say, somebody is in your CRM system and they run their credit, and AI can pull that from somewhere and notify you, that they're, you got to, the temperature of that lead just went up, and
Right.
notify you to either to call them or email them, or maybe it automatically sends an email to them.
Yep.
Fantastic. There's a lot of advantages to that.
One of the things that a lot of people do, especially restaurants now, and it sucks and it pisses me off every time I see it, but I use it in a different way, is flyers that are made by AI that generally all look the same, but it's all in the presentation. So when I bring this to somebody, it's usually because I don't want to show up empty handed, but I'll make a joke about it. I'll be
Mhm.
like, yeah, I created this with AI because you're going to throw it in the trash and you're not going to keep it in your desk. But I want you to have something to at least keep on your desk for 5 minutes before I walk out of here. So that way you can get into your head when you need private money or when you need someone to rescue your loan, you think of me. And you use it to make an impression because it's gotten out of hand. We use all these things that have now become so generic that are not impressive, they're not personalized, and it makes someone feel that they aren't important to your business.
100%. Yeah, it's I I'm one of those people that I use AI slightly. Yeah, I mean, I'll ask ChatGPT random question. I'm traveling to a new city, like, hey, what do you suggest? Whatever. But I'm just a person to person guy, and I know that you are too. I think there was one of the last mortgage conferences I went to out in Dallas. It's 3 days long. The first,
Ooh,
yeah, go
Dallas sucks. Go
birds,
Birds.
go birds. My
Hell
buddy
yeah.
just my buddy just made this for me with his 3D printer last week.
Oh, hell yeah.
But
I got this in the office, something they haven't seen in Dallas in a while.
very long time.
So yeah.
Love it. I just got my 2020, 2024 newspaper framed up.
I
Just a
saw
couple.
that at last.
Yeah.
Yeah, I saw it.
Um, but yeah, the first 2.5 days of this conference, every single speaker was going up talking about AI. And this was 6 months ago. And it's funny how much AI has changed in just 6 months. But they were all talking about how they hope to use it. It wasn't really being implemented very much yet.
Right.
Halfway through the last day, one of a very, very high producing loan officer was up there. He's actually one of our clients, big fan. Goes up and he goes, I don't know what you guys are doing. He's like, and he was exaggerating, obviously, but he's like, you guys are going to use AI so much that we're all out of jobs. He's like, what you guys are trying to do, what do we need you for anymore? He's like, it's person to person. Use AI to complement what you're doing on a day-to-day basis. He's like, but you got it making phone calls for you? Like, what are we doing? And I respected that. He went against the grain at the end of a very long, theme
Yeah.
throughout the
So,
week.
so my dad, who got into this business in the early 80s, and one of his good friends, Bob Saltzman, who shout out to Bob, hopefully get him on the show here soon. Got a lot of fun things to talk to him about. Um, they say in the 80s, you'd go into real estate offices and they would show you a computer that really didn't even have internet yet. They weren't even using Microsoft Office yet, right? There wasn't even AOL yet. And they told them, that's going to replace you. I brought this up in the mastermind today that for 40 years, they've been talking about how technology was going to replace the loan officer. Has it made parts of the business easier? Sure. Has it given loan officers some liberties and freedoms back? And some can choose to take that time, like you said, to spend more in their personal life or to double down on their business. But because of how important it is and how flawed AI still is, and just wanting someone to walk you through that, I do think that we're a ways away, from being able to really let go of this human touch part of it. Because, I mean, even someone brought up in the mastermind today as well, Click It, Get Mortgage, the online process has been around for over 10 years
Mm-hmm.
now.
Yep.
And have they taken a decent part of the industry? Sure. But that's more because they're marketing and they would have had that in some other area anyway. It's not really because of the simplicity of their process. There's plenty of people who can read between the lines and know what company I'm talking about. Well, I used their motto, that have not had the best experience with them, right?
Yeah.
So it's not always the end all be all, and it's not always a quick fix.
And it's a great thing that something like that exists, because there's also consumers who don't want the person to person. They don't want to deal with a loan officer, become buddy with their originator. Fine. It's great that they have an option.
But a good salesperson knows who that person is, and
Yes.
that's the difference. That is the big difference. So I'm going to compare this to what life was like before the ABS challenge on the strike zone, right? The difference between your all-star pitcher and your superstar pitcher, right? And this is what Roy Halladay was the best at, is that the umpire could change the strike zone and it didn't matter. He was going to adjust on the fly, and he was going to be the best guy on the mound where other people weren't able to do this. Now, I obviously can chat with the most chatty Kathy, and I can be the most personal person. I can learn about their kids and their grandkids and their dog's name and all that stuff. I'm willing to do that. I have fun doing it. But within the first 15 seconds, if the person on the other end of the line is not going to be like that, and you all of a sudden shift into that different character where you have to know exactly what their touch points are. And when you make that adjustment to your strike zone, that's what sets your average salesperson apart from someone who's going to give them the best experience that's tailor-made to them.
Got to be a chameleon. Yeah, understand what the needs and wants. Listen, I'm an extroverted person. I love to talk. You know that.
Yeah.
The favorite barber I ever had would come in and say, same as last time. Wouldn't talk to me the rest of the time. And that was great. Hey, I'm getting my hair cut. I got hair going in my mouth. Like, don't talk to me during that. It's like when your dentist is asking you questions. I'm like, what's going on? There's a time and a place. And yeah, so you got to be a chameleon, know what your consumer, your customer wants, and, go off that.
So before we wrap up kind of this professional part, and also I'm going to ask you, if we're kind of flying here, do you have a meeting at the top of the hour? Am I going to be holding you up if we go a little over?
I'm done for the day. It's about time to crack a beer from my fridge here, bud. We're good.
Oh, all right. Glad that we did this on a Friday.
Yeah.
So look, obviously in your business, a lot of your sales are branch wide or company wide. So you can go from meeting with a solo loan officer to meeting with a CEO that has hundreds or thousands of employees. Now, you don't have to say company names, but at the first meeting that you walked into with someone who has, let's say, over 1,000 employees, what's that mindset like when you're doing that for the first time? And how did that help you take the next step in your sales business?
I was very, very fortunate The person who was in my role before me had years and years of experience and knew how to command a room and in a respectful way, not and just had the knack for it. And I got to sort of understudy a little bit under him. And I would say the same thing about our CEO, who has involved in many different businesses throughout his career. But just being able to sit back and kind of see how it goes helped me in a lot of ways. I won't lie, the first time that I walked into a large meeting such as that, where I was the man, I was nervous as shit. Like I was like, all right, we just gotta get through this. But I took cues that I'd learned. One thing I'm good at is reading body language and just kind of assessing. And I'm not gonna lie, a lot of it goes back to my years in the restaurant industry, where you're putting on a show, my man. It's not just about the things you got to say; it's how you say them, and the tonality that you're using, and not just words, but like body expressions, and being able to read people's reactions and expressions. I don't know. It as nervous as I was, it still came pretty naturally to me.
Yeah.
And when I go into those meetings anymore, it's not something that I really have to think about. Where before it was like, all right, I got to turn it on. Now, the more comfortable you are and the more you feel you belong, the more you do. I don't know. It's just
So when I first started working here at Certified Mortgage Planners, Jason Purcell gave me a book, still on my desk. I'm actually reading it for the second time right now. The Alter Ego Effect.
I haven't read it.
This is a great read, and it goes hand in hand with exactly what you were just saying, where it's basically talking about your work alter ego and who you are as a professional, and being able to turn that switch on and turn that switch off, and how it allows you to grow, because you can take criticism for your work alter ego, but it's hard to take when somebody criticizes you personally, right?
Yeah.
But if you're able to separate the two, oh, I just got feedback on my work personality, not me, right? I just got feedback on what I did at work. And some of the examples that he uses in this book, Todd Herman, I believe his name is, are amazing. And they go from Bo Jackson. He said he remembers meeting Bo Jackson and saying, Bo, I got to ask you, you're like the nicest guy ever, but then you're smashing people on the field. Like, after meeting you, like, I can't picture that you're the same person. And he goes, oh, that's not me out there. And he starts talking to him about how when he puts those pads on and he takes the field, he's a different person. It's a different world, right? He can be coached in a different way out there. And another example that he uses is Beyonce was a church singer. She didn't like to be the provocative pop superstar that she grew into. So she invented Sasha Fierce as an alter ego when she would, perform, what ultimately grew into Destiny's Child, Beyonce Knowles, and everything, in her career. And her CD, I Am Sasha Fierce, was her basically saying, this is who I am now, and her becoming, one with her alter ego. So very
shady.
Interesting read. Yeah, exactly. Very, very interesting read. And it helps you be coachable. It helps you make changes for the better. And I think reading it for the second time now, where I'm in a place where I'm more receptive to it and I'm not just reading it because my boss told me to read it, is a lot better read the second time around. So I think that goes hand in hand with that as well, that you get in that mindset.
Absolutely. No, I wrote that down. I'm looking forward to that. And I got a couple of good ones. I'll text you that I've read too, that'll just good mindset read. So I'll text you.
Awesome. And speaking of Bo Jackson and football, I know sometimes it gets lonely when you're living out of state and you're out there in San Diego, and you're not surrounded by Eagles fans or Flyers fans or et cetera anymore. And you're probably still at the point like me here in Florida, where if I see a Phillies hat, I go nuts. I'm like, yeah, go Phils, right? So it's a big deal. So we got preseason starting this weekend. Eagles playing the Ravens Saturday night. There's some good storylines.
Bird on bird
You
crime,
know,
man.
so so whether it's you know, the offensive line, safety position, etc. What is exciting you the most about the upcoming Eagles season?
I can't wait for the season, man. I think with the loss of AJ, and I don't even really necessarily mean loss. I just mean him literally not being on the roster. It's gonna allow Jalen to play a different game.
Yes.
Listen, no shade on AJ. Like, great player. I loved him every single game we had him. But I think it affected the way that Jalen Hurts played the game and his looks going throughout, you know. I think now you don't see that kind of ego with Devonta. You don't see that kind of, hopefully, with Lemon. You know, a lot more balls to the tight ends. I am very excited to see. I think things are going to be way more opened up, not just with the departure of AJ, but also our new OC. I'm thrilled. I think we got 12-5 ahead of us. I feel
I'd be
very
ecstatic
good.
with 12-5.
Same. I'm happy with 11-6, but I think we're going to surprise some people. You know, I think I love the fact. I know a lot of people are find this very controversial and people are pissed. I love the fact that our social media posted that interception. I think that's great.
Yeah.
First of all,
For the AJ thing, real quick before you continue, there is a such thing called addition by subtraction.
100%.
And when we made the trade with the Titans on draft night, I said to myself, because I knew he was a diva, if we get 4 good years out of this person, I'm happy. Right? I said that on the night that we got him. If we get 4 years out of this diva wide receiver, that would be awesome, because sometimes they don't last that long. T.O. was here for what? 2 years, right? We drove him out after a season and a half, you know, whatever. So the fact that we got almost what we gave up for him back, I think is a huge win.
And a win.
And the funniest thing is that I never even tied the whole thing together, but you know, the whole story came out with like him and Hassan Reddick and how, you know, they both had the same side chick, and that AJ got mad at Jalen because Jalen wouldn't tell Hassan Reddick to, but he wouldn't tell Hassan Reddick to like lay off this chick. It wasn't even his main chick. And it was this whole to do. Well, I completely forgot this aspect of it. Is there was a time where there was an article or a breaking news that like AJ's car got stolen, and they found it like in the middle of Camden somewhere. And somebody noted that like one of the reasons he began to feel alienated or lost in Philadelphia is that he didn't have his people there, right? And that he was in a territory where Hassan Reddick had all his friends because he's a Philly boy who went to Temple, and that he was just outnumbered and didn't have backup. And that's kind of what started, you know, that trend of him not wanting to be in Philadelphia anymore.
I wouldn't want to be either in that position, I suppose. But yeah, that's
Super Bowl champion. He delivered on what he needed to do. All the respect in the world, AJ Brown.
100%. I'm grateful for every down he played. Fantastic player. But I think going forward without having him.
Wait, was it you who ordered the book and got it signed, or was that someone else?
Actually, the funny thing is that sales conference or mortgage conference I was talking about in Dallas is where I got the copy of that book signed by the author. Inner Excellence.
Okay.
Yep. And guess what? He signed it to Dillon. Go Birds.
Oh, dude, that's awesome. Yeah. I love that. I knew there was someone I knew that had some kind of connection to that.
Yeah. And the fact that I got that autograph while in Dallas just makes it extra special, man.
Oh yeah.
But yeah, I think I'm very excited about this season. I think Jalen, new OC, he's just going to be able to play his game. And I mean, the poor guy's had what, 7 OCs in 7 seasons?
Well, if you go back to college, it goes back to high school.
Like,
he hasn't had 2 complete seasons in a row, I believe, where every game he's played in that season. I don't think he's had 2 in a row where every game was the same one.
And
and if it did happen, it was once.
Right. And a lot of that is, guess what? It's the cost of success. We do great. People want our OC. I get it. I suppose that's a good problem to have. But
yeah, my thing with Jalen is also that he wasn't running a lot last year. So all the reports are like, oh, he looks very fast. He looks faster than last year. It's one thing to look good in the offseason, and I'm a big Jalen guy, and I hate when people talk shit about Jalen. I love Jalen Hurts. You couldn't ask for him to do more for this team than he's done since he's become the starter, right?
Agree.
But we see Ben Simmons hitting threes in the offseason, and then he'd come out on the court and do something completely different. And I apologize to Jalen for even bringing Ben's name into this, okay? And I'll blame Kevin Petullo, but it's one thing to be fast. It's another, you gotta run during the game and you gotta set up the passing game.
100%. That's what worked. Each of the 2 times that we've been to the Super Bowl, and especially when we won it. So if he can play that game, and our receivers, well, obviously our O-line can open some lanes for him, but our receivers can do some distracting. We got Saquon out there, and Jalen can get those legs moving. We're going to be in really good shape.
Let's pivot over to the ice because it's been a while since I've had a good hockey conversation. Obviously, the Flyers extended a offer sheet to Leo Carlsson that was matched by the Ducks. The way that whole thing played out was just pure comedy. What are your thoughts on where we are now? What are your thoughts about how we got quiet after that going into this season after missing out on Leo Carlsson?
I am in the minority, man. I'm stoked. I think last year was a great, building block, so to speak. We went out and, quiet. Yes. We signed our goalie. I think Vladar is phenomenal. I'm so excited that he's going to be between the pipes for us for 4 years now. I think he was our MVP last season. Getting him locked down was very important.
Yeah, shout out to my first boss in the mortgage business, Dan Milstein, his agent. Shout out. Go ahead.
All right, Dan. Thank you.
Yeah,
appreciate you.
Yeah, thank you, Dan.
People say, we didn't add much. I disagree. We added Porter right away. Of course, we only saw a very, very small piece of him. He's a rookie. He's still a rookie this season. And he's a rookie who we've already seen a little bit of what he can do. Let him gel and see if he can become the star that we all think he can. If you put a star on the team, that kind of maybe limits him. I think we're in a really cool position. We're not winning the Stanley Cup this year. We weren't if we had Leo Carlsson. It didn't matter. Let's see this year with how young of a team that we have, what we're able to do and assess from there. Because there's going to be surprises. Good and bad. And, we might think that, okay, our center core needs some work, but maybe we lose a left winger, and that actually ends up being what we need to address next season. I'm all for it. Our expectations shouldn't be anything more than make the playoffs. The fact that we won a round last year against the Sidney Crosby was
so awesome.
That was the greatest thing. I was thrilled we snuck into the playoffs. The season was a success. And then we beat the Penguins and knocked out the big 3 before, they're going to be. Anyways, that was phenomenal. That experience is going to help the boys out big time.
What I like about not chasing, like Fantilli and someone else is the fact that they identified their guy. They said, this is a guy that we're willing to pay 4 first-round picks for, but we're not doing it because we feel that we need to. We're doing it because we actually believe in this specific guy and that he took his foot off the gas after that didn't come to fruition. And, what I'm starting to think is unless we have a guy that is the perfect fit and that we can make the perfect trade for or perfect deal for, that not only are the free agents at the end of this year, but at the end of the next 2 years, where we have a lot of money coming off the books. And then we also have potential to trade some contracts that go beyond the next 2 years after that are going to be weighing us down a little bit. Let's dive into the dream world here. 2 years from now, Connor McDavid's a free agent. It's obviously a pipe dream at this point. So was ever seeing LeBron in a Sixers uni. Make your case for Connor McDavid coming to the Flyers.
I don't think pipe dream, man. I think in the last I can't say couple years now with my first example, but the Phillies got Bryce. The Eagles got Saquon Barkley. And now the Sixers have LeBron James. The only thing left is the Flyers going
the
out and
Flyers
getting Connor
Connor
McDavid. We just it's fate, it's destiny. I don't know what to tell you. We're getting Connor McDavid. He likes the color orange.
And he does like the color orange, but I'm going to tell you this. He is the perfect psycho for this city. He is. If you see videos of him, he is the perfect Philly psycho. When they're asking him in the offseason, hey, what are you going to do? You going to spend time with family? You going to play some golf? He's like, I want to be in Edmonton playing hockey.
Yep.
And if you see him when they were in the cup, so there was a video that leaked of the locker room of him like screaming and yelling at the team. Talking about where they were at and that it's only one game and this and that. This guy bleeds hockey and he understands the fact that he wants to leave his mark. And similar to the Sixers, who haven't won in, over 40 years, the Flyers haven't won in over 50 years. And if you want to bring something new to a city, you want to leave your mark on hockey, you want to do something that the guy before you haven't done, you go to a major market that's starving.
Yes. And this is it. I mean, you come here, you help us get beyond Eastern Conference Finals into that cup and bring that here. Bro, you got a statue. Come do it, man.
Easy.
Easy. I think Danny Briere is going to have that in the back of his mind throughout this season, next offseason, and the season following, leading up to his free agency, because he's going to make a run for it. And I think, Connor would be insane not to, at least answer the phone and hear him out. But, all I can hope is that Danny Briere is sitting at some speakeasy bar that we'll never know about with our boy Howie, and Howie is teaching him exactly what moves to make in the meantime to make that deal as attractive as it can possibly be.
He's drawing up the whole playbook for him, right?
Yeah, I mean, I think, Howie, he's probably the mayor. We just don't know it because things are working out in the city lately.
I think also, going into this year, who I have my eyes on is Michkov. He was so underwhelming. He was a healthy scratch in the playoffs. And he might be the big question mark. Is this a year where he's going to take that next step? Or are we going to be in a situation where either A, he walks for nothing, or maybe someone signs him to an offer sheet after the end of the year when he will be offer sheet eligible? And maybe we let him walk. It's not going to be for 4 first-round picks because we would re-sign him at that point. But maybe getting a first, second, and a third. There's different levels based off of what their contract value is. I'm interested to see what he does because I think it's a make or break for him. He's probably the biggest question mark on the team.
I totally agree. This is just blind Philly optimism for you. I think for him last season, even in the regular season, it was mostly a mental thing. And I think now, especially with, Martone coming up and some other kids, as weird as this sounds, Michkov's, he's a young kid. He can establish himself as a leader on this team because he has got a couple years on him. And if he can sort of take on that role, I could see him having one hell of a season and, making a push to get re-signed and want to stay here. But that, like I said, that is my optimism. Would I be surprised if we chase him out of here after he's got a bad season? No, we've done that before. But I do agree. I think he's the biggest question mark. And another thing, this one I'm not going to be blindly optimistic about. But if we could get in the regular season 55% of what we saw out of Coots in round 1 of the playoffs, he knows his career's maybe it's starting to dwindle. Let's see that kind of effort and that kind of fire in the regular season. I mean, we got a center again, that was my honestly, it wasn't even Martone. Seeing Coots play like he was 24 years old again for those couple of games in the playoffs was probably my highlight.
33. Yeah. He's only 33. Yeah. I mean, there's a chance that if he has but if he has a healthy offseason and a productive offseason, I'm not willing to speak about him like it's over. I know that it's not looking great. And then that brings me to my final Flyers question for you is, you can't be a 4th line center rock in the sea. So where do we go from here?
I feel almost cliche saying this, but I think you give the C to TK. I think TK is the heart and soul of this team.
Over Zegras.
Yeah. Yeah. I love Zegras. I love him. I think he's fantastic. I'm not in the locker room. I don't see leadership when I look at Trevor Zegras. You know, I think TK just has like that tenacity. I think if both of them were raising their voice in the locker room, I'm listening to what TK says. I have nothing to base that off of. Let's preface with that. But I think also his tenure as a Flyer, he's been here.
Yeah, so I mean, what, his 10th season or ninth or 10th season?
Ninth or 10th. I mean, he
drafted in
was
2017.
Okay. That's the easiest thing. And you could say the same thing about Coots, but he's a fourth line center. TK was also in the locker room when
Wait, it might be 2016. Good.
Wow. Have we had TK that long?
He played in the Stadium Series in 2017 when we were in Pittsburgh.
Yes, he did. That's right. So, yeah.
That was his rookie year.
I don't think Zegras would have a hold on the locker room the way that TK would. And, I might be wrong.
My only beef with TK is that he needs to be a little more mature. He's made some decisions that could have cost us a lot more that we escaped in that Penguin series. He did a couple things that we got some favorable judgments on by the refs.
I think TK honestly had a terrible series. I fully agree with that. I did not like what I saw from him in that playoff series, but I think overall, just watching game over game over game, I like him as a leader more than Zegras. I would love for Zegras to prove me wrong this season.
And I think Sanheim, because we saw some firepower from him in that Penguin series and some tenacity and some attitude more so than usual. I mean, talent-wise, he has every credential to be a captain, but is he going to come into that personality a little more what we saw in the playoffs this year?
I'm going to say he's another great candidate, and it doesn't even all necessarily have to do with his play the second half of the season or the playoffs. It's why I think he had that play the second half of the season. And you know what that is? Silver medal.
Oh, USA.
And I'm not even calling him out, but I'm saying what a better motivator than defeat. And him having to sit there at that ceremony and get that stupid little plush thing and have a silver medal hanging around him, I think that's a main reason why he had the second half of the season that he did. And, if that's the fire that we got to light, then Hughes, appreciate you, buddy.
yeah, not bad for a Devil.
No kidding. So, yeah, I'd be open to that too.
So, anything that you want to add about the Phillies or the Sixers? There's a lot going on.
Field of Dreams was dope. Got to see Schwartz hit 2 home runs. Like to see that.
I will admit, corn bobs now.
Okay,
corn bobs. Yeah,
I will admit I don't. Eagles games, Flyers games. I make sure I'm in front of a TV no matter where I'm at. Phillies, I do have a harder time keeping track of. Too many games. I end up watching more Padres than I do Phillies. Still diehard Phillies fan. Don't get it twisted, but the Padres are on at the bar. The Phillies aren't.
And it's the only game in town where you are.
Yeah.
It's like me where I have the Magic here. I'm 20 minutes from Orlando, and it's the only team that plays in the city, other than the soccer team does have a decent following here because of the lack of, proximity to the Tampa teams and the Jacksonville teams.
Well, and that's one thing, and I'll catch shit for this from everybody, and that's totally fine. San Diego 2 seasons ago did get an MLS team, SDFC. I'm a bigger fan of them than I am the Union, I gotta say. I'd never been to a Union game. I was never loyal to them, but now SDFC's right up the street. My buddy works for them, so don't tell anybody, I get some free tickets. I actually know the players' names. I never had that with the Union because soccer's not my favorite, but I do love some SDFC. But no, man, go Birds, dickhead. That's pretty much that's it as far as sports go.
We have the former Philadelphia Athletics, soon to be the Vegas Athletics, Vegas A's. I don't even know if they're keeping the full name, that are going to be opening that new stadium there I'm
Stadium
very
looks sick.
excited for that. The stadium looks sick. I love
Yeah.
Las Vegas.
Yeah.
What I'm very excited about too is that, especially because it's enclosed, that they're going to have a lot of day games. So
Hmm.
instead of digging into the Vegas nightlife, you're going to be able to do, a Wednesday matinee and then go out to a fancy dinner, and then hit a couple shows all in one night rather than needing to choose between the game and a show. I'm
That's
excited for that.
just what you and I need, Adam, is a pregame before a night out in Vegas.
Well, look, hopefully that'll be after the reset, much after this reset, as I'm going to be 60 days without a drink come Sunday, just 2 days
60
from now.
already.
So I'll be beyond 60 by the time this episode airs for sure. And I got to say, I'm sure as somebody who's known me for a long time, you can see, that I probably look a little healthier,
Oh, yeah.
that I'm definitely speaking a lot more like what I did, in more of my early to mid 20s. And I have to say, I don't know if I even told you the full thing, but eventually do want to be open about this and make some content about it, is that I got a, you know, very bad blood test.
Hmm.
Not anything that was terminal, but my levels of my sugars, my triglycerides were through the roof. And you have to get to a point where you make some life changes. And so I'm looking forward to, in the future, there being a Vegas weekend, but not until I hit the goals that I set out for myself, which was 90-day reset.
Yeah.
Get below 220 pounds. I'm about to be below 250 come this next week for the first time since I
Good for you,
started at
man.
the Churchville Inn in my early 20s.
Crush it.
So there's a lot of people I've known for over a decade that have never seen me as light as I'm about to be just in a few days here. I'm right on the cusp of that mark. I'm very excited about that. But yes, a Vegas weekend in the future sounds amazing.
Yeah, we'll get that going. But no, you're absolutely right, too. You can see it in your face. You can hear it in your voice. I think I've talked to you many times since then, but I remember talking to you at one point when I think it was 8 days. And I was like, hey, man, that's not, but like, still, I was like, hey, good for
Yeah.
you. It's rare I go a full week without having a couple beers here and there, whatever. So that's something to be proud of, man. I'm proud of you. That's awesome.
Yeah, I appreciate it, brother. And then before we wrap up, of
Yeah.
course, and I'm going to give you the option to do one, the other, or both. You're going to count down the 5 favorite cheesesteaks of Dylan O'Mara. And I know that it gets difficult out in San Diego and California, but if you want to give somebody who's out in Southern California and San Diego area top 5 places, you could do that. Or you can count down your all-time favorites that we know are all the way on the other side of the country in Philadelphia and surrounding areas. You could do one, the other, or both.
We're going to do a mix. Because there's not 5 places in San Diego I could tell you I would give credit to.
All right, so why don't you shout out a couple from San Diego that you think are worth it, and then you'll count down your top 5 Phillies.
So I'll give you my top 5, and I snuck a San Diego one in there because they deserve credit.
Okay.
So number 5 is actually a newer one. I've only been there once, so it's hard for me to really give like a true. I think consistency is very important. But it was one of the better cheesesteaks I've ever had. It's a newer spot called Skinny Joey's. And it's funny, the owner is actually allegedly part of the Philly mob, or used to be.
Allegedly.
Joey. I think it's Joey Merlino.
Merlino, yeah.
Yeah. Good cheesesteak. I had it with I forget what the cheese was. It was a sharp something.
Yeah, Cooper Sharp.
Cooper Sharp. That's what it was. It was good. It was the cheese was good. I'm a
So
whiz
you're
guy.
putting them at number 5?
I'm putting them at 5. Yeah.
Okay.
4 is where I'm going
They have shown up on DJ Zoe's list and on Chris Bulick's list. Okay.
Really? Okay.
Yeah.
Good to know. Yeah, it was solid. I really like the roll. It's got the seeded roll, which I'm into.
Awesome.
Number 4, I'm slotting in my San Diego one. Now, it is not the 4th best cheesesteak I've ever had, but they are so good by San Diego standards that I do want to give them love.
I'll accept it. I'll accept it on a technicality.
It's called Dougie's Best. They are all Philly guys. They don't actually have a brick and mortar out here. They show up at like farmers markets and stuff like that. But not only are they very, very good, if it's a 7 in Philly, it's a 9 here. But I got a big platter from them for the Super Bowl to share with my friends. the Eagles won the Super Bowl. So they're partially, responsible for
Hey,
us.
that's an auto appearance on the top five. I mean, auto appearance on the top
100%. Number 3, you actually got me on this one. I'm going Stolies down on Bustleton.
Yes, we went there before the Royce 5'9" concert.
Nickel 9, best rapper alive. Yes, we did. And we stopped there after a couple Flyers games, probably too. They do a good cheesesteak. And it's not just the cheesesteak, it's the experience. If we're going there, it's because we're heading to something cool.
Yep, absolutely, because we had passed by it on the way to the Woodhaven 95.
Yeah. Number 2, I'm going to go Angelo's Pizzeria. And I've actually only had it probably less than 10 times, but every time I do, it's such a freaking treat, man. That's a good sandwich.
So before you drop us the number 1, DJ Zoe and Chris Bulick had Angelo's at number 2 on both their list. So there's now been 3 cheesesteak lists, and Angelo's come in at number 2 on every list. And there hasn't been one other place that has done that where it's appeared on 2 lists in the same spot, other than actually Skinny Joey's was 5 for you and 5 for Chris Bulick.
Okay, nice. Kid's got good taste. Number 1, I think this probably won't be a surprise to you. And I don't think it's necessarily the best I've ever had, but number 1 in my life, personally, Princess Steaks, baby. We're going Steve's.
Thank you. Yeah. Finally, some love for the Prince.
And I know they got a lot of locations, but you go to the one on Comley and Decatur, right at the boulevard there. You order from the window. You order, you eat the little countertop.
Eat it on the top of the trunk in the parking lot.
And then you go next door and crush a couple beers. What's that place that has the frozen where you put the beers on?
Yeah, I don't know if it's still called Union Tap. It was Whiskey Tango at some point, right? I don't know. It's been a few things.
Yeah, but it's an experience. And, even back in, like, after high school, going to play, hockey practice or hockey games at the skate zone down the street, you stop and you get a cheesesteak on your way home. And that will always just be the most important cheesesteak to me in my life and based on the experiences I've had. So
absolutely. I have not officially done my countdown. Maybe on one of these shows coming up, we will do it. But Steve's Prince of Steaks is something I absolutely swear by, and I would recommend it to anybody. It's again, what you said, it's just something I'm used to, and it brings me back. And especially when you eat it fresh. Oh my God, there's nothing like a Steve steak.
Good. Well, that'll be the first spot we're stopping after the airport when we're home for Kaiser's wedding.
Hey, shout out to Nick Kaiser, soon to be Ashley Kaiser. We only got a few months coming up before that, and I'm definitely looking forward to getting a cheesesteak there as well.
Before we wrap up,
okay,
I have a proposition for you.
Okay.
I don't know if you see over my shoulder right here is our Stanley Cup trophy from our Pickup Sticks League that you were once a part of.
Okay.
We had somebody drop out. I would like to formally request or invite you back if you would like.
I will formally accept your invitation. That sounds amazing, especially now that I'm not going out as much. I've been watching even more hockey than usual when it comes to other teams. So I think that I can actually be a factor in that league this year as well. So, yeah, I'd love to be there.
We'll talk details. I mean, I am the reigning champion, hence having this in my office. But we'll get your name on there eventually. Not this season. I want to run it back.
Sounds good. Well, listen, mortgage loan officers, mortgage brokers, anyone who owns a mortgage company, manages one, make sure to check out Jungo for your CRM if you haven't already. It is a game changer. It has definitely helped me with my business. It's helped a lot of people that I know with their business. And Dillon is always just a phone call away. We'll make sure to post up some contact information on the episode as well. Dillon, this has already been by far the longest episode that I've filmed. Usually people don't want to hear me talk for this long.
We got a lot to say,
I appreciate it. We could have gone on for probably 3 hours, but we're going to do this. We're going to continue this next time because I don't think anyone wants to listen to us for that long. But I appreciate you coming on the show. Stay on after I hang up here on the recording, and we'll chat for a little bit. And thanks again.
Thanks for having me, man. Appreciate you. Love you, brother.
Love you too.